Okay, so welcome back to Is This Music podcast. It's episode 5, which is the TRNSMT Special, biggest day of the musical calendar in Scotland, and we're looking forward to doing a deep forensic dive into the lineup as well as reminiscing about times gone by, not only with TRNSMT, but with the very missed Tea in the Park, of which it came. Tonight, we don't have Paul with us. He's away enjoying Disneyland in Paris, although we'll always grudge people spending time with families rather than with all their mates talking about music. But we do have Stuart, head honcho of Is This Music, with us.
Hello.
We also have Gus, who's just taken a bite of his dinner, and I apologise for my terrible time in there, but he says hello to everyone.
I can multitask, as I say.
Good stuff. And we also have Gigs with Glenn back with us as well, who is looking forward to teaching us who is actually on the lineup, because we know about 3 people, but we will also get to tell them who the beta band is, and maybe even refer to that scene in High Fidelity. Glenn, have you seen High Fidelity, the movie?
I have not.
There you go then. So it's going to be education for everyone. We are going to sell the last remaining 4 copies of the Beta Band's new album. So, as usual, we're going to quickly fly around everyone, see if we've been doing anything interesting this past month in the world of music. I'm going to start. It will be the shortest because I have done nothing this month. Since the last recording, I've been to one gig. That was Creeper at the Cat House. Fantastic theatrical goth punk. Definitely, if you're into a bit of theatre and whatnot, check them out. People dressed as vampires, kind of a darker Meatloaf. Kind of his little emo brothers, you'd say. And I've done nothing else for the rest of this month. I've had too much going on in my life, which sucks, basically. Stuart, have you been up to anything?
I was actually just trying to find my phone there, which is why my mic probably tripped in and out for a second there. But on that note of Creeper, this coming Friday is National Goth Day, or International Goth Day, or something like that. That day when we celebrate with a cider and black currant down the park. I just thought I'm saying that as apropos of nothing really, except I was putting it into a newspaper, which is the kind of thing that we do like to focus on in the dailies. But back to the non-day job. What have I been doing the last month? Well, I missed the last podcast because I was actually seeing the Burning Hell, who were in Edinburgh at La Belle Angel, which was an upgrade from the Mash House, and probably the 3/4 full or something like that. It's not the kind of place that fills up very easily, as you might know. They were blinding form as usual. They had an American singer called, I think it's Carsey Banton, I think it is. I've now forgotten her name, but she's very much, how do you describe her? She must be a kind of icon for people of a certain disposition, like a female Billy Bragg almost, to the point where most of her songs were really just kind of fuck Trump, fuck Trump, fuck Trump, but in a kind of poetic and very catchy way. And then she did a couple of songs, or did an entire set with her song, then Burning Hell song, her song, Burning Hell song. And yeah, it was all a good night out anyway. Sorry I missed the podcast, but that was something we've been waiting for, because the Burning Hell, despite being from Canada, only really come around to Scotland every 3 months or something, it seems like. They're never out of the place, really. Beyond that, other gigs. Saw the Pictish Trail up in Stirling. That was grand as well. And I'm sure there was other stuff that I have forgotten about. I think, an in-store just a couple of nights ago. Adam Ross out of Randolph's Leap, of course. He was doing an in-store down at the local Lowport Records, which is my local record shop. Although I bought a T-shirt instead. That's a shame you can't see the T-shirt, actually. It's "You put apostrophes where they don't belong" is a line from one of Adam's songs, and it's now on my T-shirt. And of course, there is a misplaced apostrophe in the word apostrophe, which my wife said would be ideal for me, being a grammar Nazi, to purchase. So I did. I think there might be other gigs, but I have forgotten what they were, as is always the way. So
certainly been more active.
One more gig than you, I think. It's very unlike you, Craig. Have you been trapped in the house? Yeah. What's the keys to the front door?
Exactly. I think I've taken a knock to the head and just failed to leave the house. altogether. I've got no reason as to why I've not. There was a couple gigs I would have liked to have gone to, but my schedule just didn't work out with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after the recording of this next week, Black Label Society are playing the O2 Academy, which I'll hopefully be attending and should be fun. But next month, even putting Transmit aside, is a lot busier. In the gig front, you've got Postmodern Jukebox, Sugar, which I know you guys are looking forward to. You've got Faithless, I believe that's in Falkirk they're playing. Along with The Damned, The Return of Let Live, which myself and Paul are very excited about. Lily Allen's playing again in Glasgow. And some band very few people have heard about, Metallica, will be playing Hampden next month. And we've also got there's a big gig at Bella Houston as well with the likes of Katie Tunstall and everything like that as well. We're getting into summer sessions season. So next month, I think I've just been pacing myself and keeping all my energy for what's going to hit me next month. It's going to be no doubt a very busy month. Gus, what have you been up to?
Quite a lot, I guess. So I was similarly at the Adam Ross in store, albeit in some great reward in South Glasgow. A very nice event. Adam bothered to read my review and picked up on a couple of mistakes, which is always nice. And last night I was at the Doublet, which is a fairly douce bar in the Douce West End, for Dovetailed, which is a collaboration between Simon, formerly Frightened Rabbit, and Kim Grant, aka Ravelo. So that was a fairly hushed affair, but very, very atmospheric, and it's a really good venue. The sound system can be remarkably loud if they want it to be, given that it's actually really just an upstairs bar. But Kenny, the sound guys, got a couple of massive speakers on either end, and they can let rip if they wish. So yeah, that's just, and then on Friday I was at Broken Chanter again in the South Side in the Rum Shack, which again was a great gig. Not 100% sold out, unfortunately, and I think there is a bit of a theme developing here in terms of gigs that people just don't buy tickets for, or maybe possibly buy them at the last minute, and it's for a certain level of artists who are struggling, then it's becoming a big problem. And maybe that is because people are paying hundreds of pounds for some of the big gigs and they just don't have any cash left over. I don't know. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah, I think that would be worthy its own podcast sometime in the future. Why are we struggling to sell gigs out? Is it the reason because people are spending so much on the arena tours that are costing over £100 a ticket, so you've got to sacrifice 3 smaller shows for it, or some other reason? That's definitely something we could talk about for hours, which we probably will in the future, which I'm looking forward to already. I'm pretty sure that'll get pretty heated, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Glenn, I know you've had quite an exciting past weekend you were away. Tell us about your festivals, man.
Been busy. I was at Liverpool Sound City on May 2nd and 3rd. Sort of a festival for like all the upcoming sort of scene. On the Saturday it was more like indie rock focused. If you can even call it indie rock though, but like your people like Keo and Bashed and Gurriers. And then the Sunday was more soul focused. Albeit Kate Nash was playing. She was the headliner for the afternoon. Not
we
soul,
know
but
her. We get the reference, yeah.
Yep.
You're a subscriber, yeah.
And then Jalen Nagonda was headlining that, so that was obviously soul. Brooke Combe, MT Jones, people like that there. So it was a good weekend. Saw lots of music, did lots of interviews. It was good fun. And then came back for a weekend. Then the weekend after that, I was down in Brighton for the Great Escape Festival. Busy time. That was good. I didn't see overly many bands there, or as many as I would have been. It's a big site. I was expecting it to be like every other festival sort of that I've been to that's like, like venues are like maybe 10 minutes walk to each other.
Yeah.
Like Transmit, you go from main stage to, King Tut stage and it's 3-minute walk.
Yeah.
Whereas like Brighton, Great Escape, Angine de Poitrine. I don't know how many of you guys, if you know them.
Oh, we've heard of them, yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was saying in the group chat earlier, I prefer peppercorn sauce with mine as opposed to traditional gravy.
Yeah, well, they announced a secret set, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go and catch that then. Put the venue into my map. By the time I arrived at the venue, I'd have missed the set, so it was a big sight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lots of walking about, but it was a good time. Cool festival, cool vibe. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm surprised a band who are that hyped up right now with their secret set. I'm surprised there wasn't stampedes and people getting crushed because they're so hot at the minute. If there was even a rumour of them doing a secret set, like kids and old folk getting thrown out the way and used as human shields in order to get to within a mile so you can just about hear it.
Well, so you have to get a taxi to get there, so it could be kind of awkward.
Yeah, that's one of the things as well with these other festivals is when they're not on a site per se, it's more the whole city is involved. Like
I didn't know that, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been to kind of city festivals. I mean, Inverness, Dundee, Aberdeen. I remember the one in Dundee. It was Go North, which became Expo North in Inverness, and Aberdeen is literally just like 6 venues, all pretty much in the one street. Inverness, largely the same as all 10-minute walk. Dundee had one venue that was actually a drive away from the centre, and I thought that was ridiculous. It was a 15-minute drive out the city just to get to this one venue that was, I think, one of the bigger bands was on. I think it was maybe one of the universities. I didn't know about the Great Escape being quite as inaccessible in places like that. I find that quite surprising, I must say, because even they kind of, I'm sure they kind of slate themselves as a bit of a South by Southwest, a British version of that. But South by is again, Texas is a big city. It's nowhere near the smallness of Brighton, but I know that you can get around South by reasonably easily compared to what that sounds like. So,
absolutely, and I have seen quite a lot of your footage from the festivals, Glenn. That's how I knew you were there. So definitely recommend people check that out as well. I think the best thing about it is how small the venues were for the bands that you were seeing.
Exactly.
Who are definitely coming up. It's the last opportunity, I think, to see them in venues that small.
Always seems to be the Great Escape that pulls that off.
Yeah, and if there's any reason to go to the Great Escape, then I think that would be the biggest one. Just as me and Paul were saying in the last episode, the reason you go to things like Slam Dunk is because it's old bands from your past playing albums that you remember, and it's special. You'll never see that on a tour or anything like that. And the Great Escape will be because the venues are so small, you'll never see the band in such an intimate setting.
Yeah.
Again, which even if you do have to run across the city to catch certain bands, it's probably worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Although I'm not sure I would be up to that, especially drinking as much as I do when I'm not working at a festival. Because I've reached that age where I can't have fun sober. But that's my own demons that I've got to fight.
Join the club.
Exactly. So Transmit, we were talking about it briefly on the last episode, along with every other festival, where us older folk have got plenty to complain about. Old man shouts at clouds. But what we came to the conclusion last episode was it's because festivals, and not only Transmit, but your Leeds and Reading and stuff like that, they've always been targeted at the same demographic, and that is people who are, well, we say younger, Glenn, you're younger than us and younger than most buildings as well, unlike us, but your late teens, early 20s, approaching 30s, which unfortunately the rest of us are out of that zone. So we'll always look back and say it's better back in my day.
Absolutely.
Where I can say it was better back in the 2010s and 2000s, and Gus and Stuart can say even further back that festivals were better. Yeah, exactly. and Glenn thinks this is the best era, I think, for festivals, although I do take great pleasure in sending them old lineups for even the old Tea in the Parks, which we'll be reminiscing about as well, where you can see some crazy bands that are opening up tiny stages. And if you look at those nowadays, you think that's absolutely insane. To to quickly reminisce, 2001, I saw Jimmy Eat World open a tiny stage at T in the Park where it was me and 5 other people watching them, where they headlined Transmit just a couple, or not a couple, but a few years ago on the King Tut stage. That's because they're bigger now than they were then. It's before they got famous, and you've got to kind of remember that when you look at old lineups and think these huge bands are playing. They weren't huge then. They were still playing in the function bars or function rooms of bars back then, which you've got to kind of remember. So, Glenn, I think you're the best to guide us through this year's lineup in Transmit. So, who are you looking forward to most? You can pick anyone from the whole weekend. Who's top of your list to get seen? And we'll start there.
Top of my list. It's a hard one. I'm looking at the lineup right now. I quite like it. I know probably you guys will be mixed on it, but I think I remember before I went to Transmit, I remember seeing videos of Kasabian playing in 2023, and the whole place was packed and it was absolutely bouncing. I think it was raining, but I don't think that stopped anybody. The place was like going crazy. Basically, waves of people just all flowing. So I'm quite looking forward to witnessing that. Hopefully, I'm hoping that's what it'll be like again, since I did the headliner on the Saturday night. So I would put Kasabian as my must see, I think.
Yeah, and you saw them recently in Edinburgh, didn't you?
Yeah, last summer in Edinburgh in the Corn Exchange, and that was a great gig. Like I said, see people just going crazy. So hopefully more of that.
Yeah, I've never seen them play a gig where it's the crowd have put 100% into it. It's definitely down to Kasabian's sort of energy as well, but they've never played to a dead crowd, I don't think, and that's what makes them such a good festival band. And I remember when Tom left the band and everyone's like, well, that's the end of them, they're dead in the water because that's their singer. But it's got to the point now where they've recovered so well that people forget. That was even an era.
I mean, I don't even know who they were when Tom was singing with them. I've always grown up with like Serge being the front man, which is probably going to shock you guys.
I think Serge was quite a big part of the band beforehand. That probably helped greatly. He was able to kind of slot in a wee bit more rather than it being, kind of. If Chris Martin left Coldplay, a horrible example, then does anyone know the name of the other guys in the band? If one of them stepped forward, it'd be slightly more awkward,
Yeah,
but Serge is a big personality anyway, so he's moved in there really quite well, I think.
Yeah, I'm obviously not privy to the inner workings of Kasabian. I have not penetrated their intimate circle, shall we say. However, it's definitely, I think, Serge, a lot of his personalities in the band, even before he took over the frontman duties. And as Glenn was saying, he wasn't familiar before he took over, so it's become such a thing now. It's Kasabian in their current form, and that's not the most important thing, but that's kind of how they're seen now. Have you got any other ones, Glenn, sort of from lower down on the list, any we haven't heard of?
Yeah, totally. I saw West Side Cowboy in Brighton for the first time. They've been on so many like lineups or bills or like just like supporting someone that I've been going to see, and I have not managed to catch them until Brighton. And like it exceeded expectations that I had, which were already high. So they're playing on the Sunday. I think it's the King Tut stage. So that'll be a fun one. They call themselves Britannica Rock. It's like purely British rock, whatever that may be. But it's a cool sound. It's like upbeat, melodic, guitar driven with lots of drums. Like I don't even know how to describe it now. I'm saying all this, but like every song is so different. But they seem to be going through the ranks quite quickly. So I would say West Side Cowboy for me.
Awesome, yeah. Guys, Gus and Stuart, is there any on the lineup this year that I know the beta band will be pretty high up there? Nile Rodgers, I think everyone in their grand seen him play about 1,000 times. Is it?
It's got that way, isn't it? It's quite funny because I think I saw a Wicker Man and I thought, well, this is really like a one-off special deal. And then it's like, oh, he's back again. And then he played down the road from me, like you're 100 yards down the street from me eventually, about 3 years ago, and he'd done just about every other festival that Fiesta and Fold thing in Glasgow as well. It's been mental actually. So, yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's played My Back Garden. Like he's played every stage in the world, I think, and it's not a bad thing. He's outstanding. But would you go out your way to see him at a festival if there were other people to see? That's one of the sort of concerns I had.
Yeah. Well, I think he's clashing with Amy McDonald, so I might consider going to see him again.
I think they're different days. Thankfully.
No, sorry, you're right. I'm just looking at the list view there, and you're quite right. I'm talking nonsense. Edit that out later. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, Amy is on what we'll like to call Scottish Day.
Yes.
It is very Scottish that day, but we'll get back to that.
Two headliners.
Later on.
We'll see that as well. Maybe it's the Caledonian stage day, like what they used to have at in the park.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we'll get to that later, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, any other ones that are jumping out to any of our old contributors? For lack of a better term.
Gus has got very quiet because he doesn't actually recognise that description.
No, I'm not in denial about being old. Don't worry about that. No, I suppose. I'm looking at. I think my preferred day would probably be the Friday. Obviously the Beta Band. I've heard various reports of how the Beta Band are doing live, and of course, those cynics among us might think, well, they just need the cash. They've not really done anything in a while. There's no new material coming out. They're cashing in with what I consider to be really quite steep ticket prices for the tour that they did. I know they're doing various festivals, etc. I suppose you always hope with a band like that they might start recording new stuff. I suppose the same would be said possibly for Super Furry Animals as well, bands of a similar era and a similar status, I suppose, in terms of a band whose records really liked, who I've seen a few times live in the past, etc. I'll certainly, if I get the opportunity, I'll certainly go and see them. Wolf Alice, I have to say, you were talking there about Jimmy Eat World playing to whatever it was in a tent at T in the Park. I remember actually, I think it was the last time I was actually at T in the Park was 2014, which was the last year at Bellado, and I kind of went in a sort of possibly for old time's sake, because I'd fallen away from it the previous few years. I think the fact that Calvin Harris and Biffy were pretty much on every year became more of a rite of passage for people rather than about the music. I guess I possibly after having been. I missed year one, and this is going back a bit. I don't know when you were born, Glenn, but this would be Crumbs. 1994. I was out of the country. The lineup for that was tasty to say the extreme, including, I think, one of the few appearances in Scotland by an American rap group called Consolidated, who I was actually obsessed with for a while, and I never saw them live. They were controversial before controversy existed. Anyway, less said about them, the better, really. But yeah, some of the kind of nascent Britpop, etc., and of course the year after, which was year two, which was full on Britpop. Oasis didn't appear that year, but a lot of others did, and I guess I was there. I never camped because that was not a good idea. Some of the stories about the campsite are legendary and live on in the popular memory, as it were. So I didn't really want my tent set on fire or to find that 4 other people had invaded it or whatever. So I was always on the bus, which was always interesting. This was so through the late 90s into the noughties, I was probably there both days. Then they introduced a third day, and then I was probably only maybe there one of the days. I would maybe pick one, and as I say, after many years going into 2014, so I just went on the Friday, which was, I remember this very well. It was a blazingly hot day, but I was in the tent most of the day, and I was at tea break stage, I think, first of all, the tea break stage as it was, Wolf Alice playing in front of, I don't know, 25 people in a film crew, basically. So although I've not followed their career religiously since, I do quite like some of the newer stuff. The track, without detracting from the talents of lead singer, that one where the drummer takes lead vocal and she does both backing vocals, that really, I think they did that on SNL UK, maybe episode 1 or 2, and that's so that if they play that, I'll be very happy. So yeah, in terms of other things, I mean, there's always. I'm actually, the poster I'm looking at doesn't have the entire lineup, and I don't know if the entire lineup has been released. But obviously, New Dad, I think, will be interesting and good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk so much about the rest of the weekend because I'm not sure if I'll get to that. I don't think, looking at Stuart, passes have actually been fully allocated, as it were. So I think I put in for the Friday. I'd be happy to do the other days as well, but we'll see. I have done the full 3 days on a pass. I think, God, let me get this right. I think the year that Pulp played.
Yeah, the Pulp year would have been, yeah.
Went to. I had a previous engagement, so I actually patched Pulp and went back to the Glad to see a couple of wee bands who had said, like, months before, I'll be at your gig and I've got a ticket, and I felt I couldn't really. My son went to Pulp. He was there that year. But anyway, no, I have to say I've got some very good memories of Transmit, and I'm looking forward to it again. I wasn't there last year, but I think when it's good, it can be extraordinarily good. Whether that is massive bands or not. I remember some real communal moments with people like Paul Heaton in particular. That was really something. I think when somebody who's got a cross-generational appeal speaks, as it were, to the masses, that can have a big effect. However, what I would also say is I'm looking at the fact that there are 99 quid for Friday and Saturday for the ordinary punters.
Yeah,
so they're definitely in. They're in a bit of a bind in terms of ticket sales. I would imagine Capaldi will ensure that. And by the way, I don't know the last year that they actually said it was a sellout. And also another thing to note, and I don't know if anybody knows more about this, they didn't start selling tickets for this year. Normally they start selling, and this would be the case with Tea in the Park as well. To get some money in the bank, they certainly start selling tickets before Christmas. They did not do so this year, which again, the rumours were circulating about where Oasis is going to play X number of nights, and that would be a DF promotion, so that would suck up all their available personnel, etc. So so some of the politics with a small p and the logistics, and obviously the fact that we moved because of the World Cup and various other, again, every so often there's mad rumours start floating around about something or other. Obviously an event as big as that attracts that kind of thing. So yeah, that's my take as it is.
Yeah, I think every year I hear, "Oh, this will be the last Transmit because they're bringing back Tea in the Park."
Well,
that's been the rumor for
never going to happen.
The last 10 years.
I think when the families of drug death teenagers started blaming Jeff Ellis directly in the Daily Record on the front page, as in Jeff Ellis killed my kids, I think like, fuck that, no more camping, that's it, I'm done with it. And I think I've even spoken to the man himself and effectively got, actually no, I shouldn't fucking quote that, should I?
Not if he didn't say it.
I've had 1 or 2 chats with him over the years at various things. I just go up to him and say, "Hi Jeff, how's it going?" and we take it from there. He doesn't really know me, but I think I can't see at his age and stage, it would have to be a new management team who are far more up for it. And what fucking site would they choose as well? I mean, the last, Octor Ardor was a disaster from what I can gather. I was never there, and I'm fucking glad I wasn't there, because logistically, the horror stories, the transport, the massive funneling of crowds, etc., it sounded disastrous.
Anyway.
I mean, basically, Transmit is Tea in the Park. There's no getting away from it apart from the camping aspect. Yeah, but that was always a rite of passage thing where the kids would get away for the entire weekend and consume buckfast in their tents or whatever. But
I think you can't do that at Transmit because it is. I mean, despite what everybody says, it is actually quite strictly regulated. I know people smuggle. I mean, there's all kinds of orifices get used for all kinds of stuff, which we'll go into in terms.
And they smuggle the drinking. Hey,
but it's not the sort of hijinks that went on at T in the Park, and even not having camp there, you could see that was a whole different thing. And obviously, other festivals still do that kind of stuff, but Transmit, just because of where it is in central Glasgow, the police are often all over it, and mad things happen still, but it's not. It doesn't have the complete outlaw aspect that T in the Park did at its best and worst, because as I say, people did die and people did come to severe grief there as well. Anyway,
I think one of the sort of most nostalgic things about T in the Park is the camping more than anything. But I think people looking back on that are doing it through rose-tinted glasses, where
if you're out at the campsite, you wouldn't see any music. So why the fuck are you here?
That's what I was saying when I was basically calling it like the new T in the Park. I was really meaning in musical terms, certainly not in terms of the camping. I never camped, and it wasn't really a rite of passage for me either, perhaps because I was a bit older. But I would have been there to hear the music rather than get it in my face. And I kind of stopped drinking at gigs, I suppose, at a reasonably early age because I probably missed the odd band or couldn't remember the odd thing about gigs. There's no point in saying
drinking quite heavily, but I never got completely shit-faced enough to have to, what's the word, sleep in a tree or anything like that. But yeah.
Yeah, there's never at T in the Park, but at other festivals I have been in that position, and it is good to look back on it with your friends and think, how did we ever survive?
Yeah.
But again, sort of being a more sensible, level-headed person, it's not a position I'd put myself in now, being around, especially T in the Park was notorious for their campsite being, I don't even want to say terms like dangerous, but you were always on edge when you're walking through it. It was like Escape from LA. It was like almost dystopian a lot of the time, and you were a bit on edge as to who you would bump into, and if you looked at someone the wrong way, like there was always that sort of edge, and it's not essential to the music, with it being more central as well. In Glasgow now, you can always go to someone's house or your own house or a hotel or an Airbnb or go and sleep in a tree. There's plenty of them.
Let's just say, I mean, there are other camping festivals are available in Scotland, and some of them are a hell of a lot less dangerous and far more friendly and communal and far more vibey than T in the Park ever was in terms of that element, shall we say.
Yeah, I think it got to the point at the T in the Park camping where that atmosphere became expected, just to sort of run a parallel. The Leeds Festival for many years, it was tradition on the last day at Leeds Festival for the riots to happen, where everyone just basically burnt the place to the ground.
Leaving a flat,
yeah, and I'm talking actual riot police. Where I saw armoured carriers come in with police in full riot gear, full shields, helmets, the whole lot, charging people because they just thought it's the last day of Leeds. We must riot. I don't know if that still happens. Hopefully, Glenn, you'll be there this year. So
you're scaring me now.
If you get tear gassed or smashed by a riot shield, please do let us know. That will be your rite of passage.
Then I join the next episode after that, and you say, "What have you been up to recently?" I'll say, "Oh yeah, I got tear gassed at Leeds."
Yeah, and you no longer have your own teeth. But yeah, a rite of passage. But now it is sort of more focused on the music, or to the punters, it's more focused on the music because you're not distracted by the whole campsite thing, which I think's good. It is still, I think. A couple of years ago, Stacey from Glasgow Times said it best. She said it's more about going to Transmit rather than experiencing it, like saying, "Oh, I'm going to Transmit this year," or "I was at Transmit," rather than "I've seen X, Y, and Z bands play." At that, it doesn't matter who you go to see, even if you just get in the gates of Transmit and sit under a tree for a weekend, just so you can say you've been at Transmit. That seems to be what a lot of people are doing nowadays. Which, if that's how you want to spend your money, go ahead. As we said, it's not even that expensive now. 2 days for £99. You wouldn't get a gig for £99 with any one of those headliners.
Yeah.
And
you wonder why it's not sold out at that point, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone done the math, and it's cheaper to buy that deal and then whichever other day it is, buy a single day for that day rather than buy the whole weekend ticket. So that could be a sign of just poor ticket sales due to many reasons. There's obviously a date change this year.
Or to be perfectly honest, poor headliners, people who are not really Scottish Festival exclusives, people who've played quite recently. I mean, with all due respect to Richard Ashcroft, Kasabian, these are effectively heritage acts, I would suggest. And also acts who have both played the Hydro in the last couple of years. There's nobody who has never played in Scotland before. There's an awful lot of artists at that kind of level who haven't been at Transmit and don't look likely to be. So I don't know if that's a failing in DS booking policy or the reputation of the event. I don't know. I also think though that the bill was possibly put together not exactly last minute, but I think there was a delay. And maybe, Craig, as you were saying, maybe they were thinking that we're going to do something else. Maybe they were thinking we're going to have to concentrate on Oasis. Maybe they were thinking we need a new site. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. We probably will never know because they're not going to say.
No, I think the date might have come into it quite a lot, and I'm pulling this out of thin air. I've got no evidence for my thinking, but obviously they've had to move the date this year. My understanding is because of the Commonwealth Games. But it's also clashing with the World Cup and whatnot as well, which Scotland are inexplicably part of this year that no one would have put money on. However, if you don't know what date your festival's going to be on, it makes it hard to book acts. Exactly. And so I think that's kind of made them late into the game. The booking, not that it's bad headliners, but as you said, Gus, it's heritage headliners. I'd think if Richard Ashcroft hadn't opened for Oasis on the tour, he wouldn't be there. I think that's the only reason why he's there. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing he's there, but I'm saying that's the reason why he is there. I actually pulled up the lineup of when I was last at T in the Park 25 years ago, which is depressing just to say.
What year was that then?
2001.
2001, okay. Who was playing?
So I'm going to list off some of the headliners that played 25 years ago, and you guys tell me if you think they would have been out of place headlining Transmit this year.
What day was there as well?
There you go. So the first one, Stereophonics. Wouldn't be out of place, I don't think. I think
they were here a couple of years ago, weren't they?
Done Transmit at least once, yeah.
Texas. I'm surprised they're not on Sunday with the Scottish.
Good point, actually,
yeah. Here's a good one. Slam. They are playing this year, 25 years later.
Yeah.
Not the headliner, but they played just before Texas. Coldplay, that wouldn't happen. I think they've got a bit big for their boots, if I'm being honest. But some other bands that are kind of making a comeback who did play 25 years ago at T. David Gray, he's on a bit of a comeback just now, or at least trying. Placebo as well, we're playing the Hydro this year as well. Divine Comedy.
Right.
They wouldn't be.
I think I was there that whenever they played. I think I saw them in the tent that year. Yeah.
I think so as well.
Can't even remember the names of the tents this year, and because I'm looking at a very old poster, I can't read the little writing, even though I do have my good glasses on. But that just kind of shows
Top
you.
Loader, Feeder, they're all there. I can actually just pick this up on the tiny print.
They would have been
probably Muse actually
as well.
Muse, Andy Warhol, Shed 7. I don't know if I was there this time or not. Actually,
I was probably just there one of the days, and it would have been the day the Divine Comedy played, I think.
Granddaddy was there, so it might have been that day, I guess.
Yeah, I remember Muse.
All melded into one, to be honest with you, because that's the thing. You'll get bands like maybe Coldplay. Coldplay, they were the second one, I think. That's them quite high up the bill 10 years later, and they probably too big now, obviously. Far too big to be doing this kind of thing, but they could just still.
That's the thing. A lot of the bands' Muse as well would have been too big for Transmit, I reckon, because they obviously sold out Bella a couple years ago, or 3 years ago now. But the likes of Stereophonics, I think they would have went down well this era. Transmit. So there is a place for heritage acts, but
Would Glenn agree with that? I'm wondering simply because there's so much of that that lineup they've got this year. There's so many bands that we're maybe not familiar with, but he will be.
Totally, I get where you're coming from. Like Angus, what you were saying there about like the bands like Kasabian. I've got a line up here. Sorry, Kasabian and Richard Ashcroft playing the hydro. Also, what you said about Richard Ashcroft and Oasis. Totally agree. In the nicest way possible to Richard Ashcroft, I don't know his music aside from the Verve Bittersweet Symphony. One song I know, that's it. For a headliner, I feel like a headliner that would please me is I should know more than one song.
Mm-hmm.
Like to get that headliner status and like have that in the bag. So I feel like Richard Ashcroft may be good as like a sub headliner. I can see that going down well. Even, do you know, this might sound crazy, but in Scotland, having somebody like Dylan John Thomas headline, I feel like that would go down better than Richard Ashcroft.
Yeah,
but maybe Dylan John Thomas just isn't at that stage yet.
Probably not quite.
Totally. Definitely not. But I feel like it would go down better with the crowd that Transmit's pulling and also the fact that it's Scottish.
I'll throw a complete curveball in just on the back of what you're saying there, Glenn, because on the Saturday we've got the Fratellis.
Totally.
And they are a party band. Everyone knows a good handful.
Yep.
Other songs, like even the young'uns like yourself, I bet know, you know, your Chelsea Dagger and everything.
Yeah, Whistle for Choir as well, Henrietta. Yeah, everybody knows them.
So you'd have people like 18 years old and people 48 years old all getting into them, and they're going.
Are they definitely playing? Because they pulled a few shows, and I didn't hear what the outcome of that was.
As far as I'm aware, they are.
Right.
I know they did cancel a tour or have rescheduled a tour.
Yeah,
I think Transmit's still on.
Okay.
But for the benefit of me daydreaming, I think they would be a sort of more, not appropriate headliner, but they'll get a lot more people jumping. I think I could be wrong. I've not followed Richard Ashcroft as much as I don't know. I suppose his fans would be.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, from what I can gather, and I must admit, I've not really bothered to listen to. I think I did try and listen to a couple of records, but I mean, you're talking. I mean, most of these best known Verve songs are what 30 years old. I remember actually. God, I think one of the first iTunes. I was late to iTunes, but of my iTunes era that I downloaded, I think was a single from the Verve, which must have been around about 2002, 2003, which actually quite decent. So I think we did reform. We did a wee bit more new material, but some of the Richard Ashcroft stuff that I've seen on video is pretty poor. And I don't know how many albums he's made as a solo artist, possibly 3 or 4. I've not really been minded to go near any of them, and I honestly don't think that the audience who are buying tickets for Richard Ashcroft are there for that. I think, like, say, a lot of them saw him supporting Oasis, doing The Drugs Don't Work, and a couple of other old Verve tunes, and that'll be it for them. So that is pure nostalgia from 30 years ago for 48-year-olds, I guess, 45-year-olds. So, yeah, I mean, good luck with that. But I think, I mean, as I say, I'm hoping to get to the Friday. I don't think I'll be watching Richard Ashcroft. I think I'll be at the smaller stages. And, you know, all the times that I have, every time that I have been at Transmit in the kind of festival era of it, because that's the other thing, the first couple of years that it started, let me get this right, is it 2018 was the first year, and it was effectively 3 gigs headlined by pretty big acts, but it wasn't really promoted as a festival. Well, maybe it was called a festival, but I think a lot of people basically bought one day. So if I remember right, they did.
That is how it was pushed.
So I was on holiday that year, so I didn't go. I think there was, let me get this right, Arctic Monkeys, Radiohead, and possibly Queen with, what's his name that sings with
Adam.
Yeah, is that right? I'll need to pull this up. But I think that was 2018. 2019 was a similar thing, and I went with my partner and kids to Killers and Franz Ferdinand, Churches, and Friendly Fires were on the main stage, and actually, ironically, Capaldi was on the second stage, and we missed him. We arrived just because, obviously, with kids and stuff, you don't necessarily, like, if it was me, I'd have been there from the start, but yeah, Capaldi had just finished, and all people were saying, who was this guy? And that was in 2019. So yeah, but again, I think it was very much, you went to one day, and I think it was a year after, maybe 2020, when it became, of course, was 2020 COVID? I can't, no, 2021 was COVID. Yeah, I'll need to. I did start to look at some of this. I also started to look at some of my previous reviews of Transmit as well, which I actually didn't realise. I think, Craig, you took quite a lot of photographs that were published alongside my reviews. I don't think we'd even met at that point, but you must have
possibly not. No.
You would be behind the barrier. I might not even have seen you. So yeah, I think. And then yeah, so yeah, the evolution of it. I think obviously starting as something that DF possibly hope would be a more sophisticated festival for richer people who spend more money on food.
Yeah,
That's obviously quite a big thing in merch. Then of course they then invigorated the Connect brand, which again we did well out of. I mean, I had 2 Connect passes for 3 days each for free. It was a great festival, but it just wasn't that well attended. They had some amazing bills. The site was a wee bit problematic because it's fucking hard to get in and out of. Even whether you're driving, rowing, pedaling, or whatever. Particularly during because it was actually, normally it was the last weekend of the Edinburgh Fringe, so it was a total nightmare sometimes. But yeah, I mean, check out my review. I saw some great acts there, but quite often I didn't even need a photography pass. It was right at the barrier because there was bloody nobody there. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
Yeah, so to go back to the start of that, I kind of lost track, but yeah, when Transmit started, I do remember it was more billed like separate gigs. It wasn't a weekend.
Yeah, well, the lack of camping lends itself to that, doesn't it? If you set the festival up, if you set the festival up as a camping festival, then you've got a good basis for a captive audience. People are less likely to be taking the bus up and down 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
but they know that they've set it up in Glasgow Green, of course, and they've got all the benefits of not having the chaos that the Tea Park campsite engendered to them.
Yeah, and it gives the punters more of a choice as well, so you can decide that you're going to go Friday, Sunday, you don't fancy Saturday, so you're not obliged to stay there for a day or pay the money to be there for a day for bands that you're not that interested in. In the last episode, I was talking about one year at Leeds Festival where we didn't fancy anyone on the Sunday, so we just spent all day in the comedy stage, which is now a thing in the past, which it made for an all right day, but it's not a day's worth of music festival, which you would kind of hope for. If we had the option just to not be there, we would possibly not been there and just gone to another gig elsewhere. So as you said, you're not as captive as an audience when there is no camping there. I will throw out one band that I'm very excited to see at Transmit this year that no one's mentioned so far. That's South Arcade. I think that's I think that's the one band that fits into my main genre.
Actually, right? Okay. Somebody mentioned this to me.
Yeah, so South Arcade, pop punk, high energy. Glenn, you've seen them live. I've not seen them live yet. Recommend
great live, really great live. Very, very fun. Like, will get you going no matter what. Like, they do not give up. They are persistent on getting you moving, and they do get it every time without fail. It's a lot of fun. They've got 2 good EPs out. I recommend them both. They're both great.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to South Arcade. The stage splits aren't out yet, which I've seen a lot of people online complaining about because we don't know who's playing when or where. I think South Arcade, I get a feeling in my waters that they'll be King Tut stage rather than main stage, which I think will be better for them. Hopefully quite high up on it, I'm hoping. I think they've deserved to be kind of high up so they get a good crowd at the King Tut stage, but I could be talking nonsense because I'm not in a position to know because the stage splits aren't out at time of recording. I'm really happy to see in the main sort of the lineup listing how far up, or at least they're on it, is Soapbox. I'm absolutely stoked for them as well. I'm trying to remember. I think the first time I saw them was when they supported Dead Pony at St Luke's, and I thought this is awesome. And they're just going from strength to strength, doing a lot of festivals this year to the trees as well. Which is another good thing about the change of date with Transmit, that it doesn't clash with 2000 trees this year as it normally does, and it's not only good for the punters who don't have to make that choice if you want to attend both, but also the bands as well. So now more bands can play both festivals, sort of giving us a bigger variety of acts to choose from for Transmit. In terms of other bands, just want to run through some that I kind of know, and hopefully Glenn can chip in with it as well. We already spoke about Fratelli's last dinner party I saw a couple of years ago at Transmit and thought they were fantastic. I'm sure, Gus, did you say you were a fan of them that year as well?
I'm a wee bit conflicted. I think I did enjoy them on that occasion. If I'm right, that was the King Tut stage, wasn't it? I think that was would that be 2024. And I think they have developed. I think I possibly referred to them at that point as Saltburn refugees. I do think that kind of, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the film Saltburn, but anyway, yes, yeah. I mean, I'm not quite sure how much further they can take their act in terms of it's quite melodramatic. It's quite even operatic, I would say. I think it's slightly gothy, but it's not maybe gothy enough for me. But anyway, with all due respect, I mean they are one of the rare female, I think it's a drummer, a guy, but basically female fronted acts that is kind of going places. And again, I mean, that's been another criticism of a Transmit lineup. It's all fucking blokes. Now, obviously, I'm talking here a podcast which we have struggled to gender balance in any way whatsoever. So call me a hypocrite. But there is one of the reasons, why possibly some of these festivals, including Transmit, haven't sold out is because, I mean, I'm sure DF are scratching their heads sometimes to say, well, who can we book? And I mean, there's people like CMAT on the bill, which is great.
There's a few other names there.
Yeah, I mean, there are. For yet another year, there is no headliner who is in any shape or form female, and that's kind of. That attracts criticism, but it may also not attract an audience. And who can we put up there to do that? I'm not sure. Apart from international acts, I mean, there's lots. I don't need to tell you about the number of female solo acts who are selling out the Hydro. I mean, if they could have booked somebody like Robin, for example, I mean, for fuck's sake, that would have changed the dynamic completely, I think. So anyway, it is what it is, though. And maybe, as I say, the lack of certainty over a date. If you're really looking to land somebody like that, but then do they have the money to do that? Some of the fees for these people must be massive. If you can command, international festivals. I'm not even sure if Transmit is actually really operating at that level now. Don't know.
They need to be looking at an act who's maybe doing other festivals as well. I think that's always the thing to get exclusive when you're paying big bucks. But if they're maybe doing weeds or whatever.
I mean, obviously, I mean, Teen Apart used to team up with Electric Picnic and another Irish festival sometimes, and they would make a booking like that. I don't know which other festivals Transmit is really doing that with these days.
It's a shame we don't have Reading, Leeds, Glasgow. We had for a couple of years. That was grand, actually. It was Glasgow Green as well. That worked out really well, I thought, and I don't know why that didn't survive.
Yes.
They're very rock oriented. Well, maybe Reading and Leeds aren't quite so rock oriented as they were back in the day now, but certainly I don't see a lot of the acts that are here making it onto either of those bills. There's some very, very poppy stuff.
Also, I mean, I'm not. I mean, some of the people that I'm thinking about are out of my depth in terms of my musical knowledge of them. I mean, I know a couple of folk were talking on the group chat about Doja Cat. I mean, I'm not even sure really who the hell that is. But I mean, there's a couple of them who I do listen to. I think, I mean, obviously people like Olivia Rodriguez, Dua Lipa, even for that matter. I mean, these people seem to be beyond the reach. I don't think there's really been somebody of that nature has really played Transmit possibly ever.
Yeah, I don't think in terms of the headliners for Transmit, they're never going to see the sort of stadium fillers that Leeds and Reading would see nowadays. Like, we were never going to see the likes of Ray.
I mean, T in the Park back in the day got people like Beyonce, you know.
Yeah, I think now, though, because of, and I think it could be lack of camping that comes into this as well, because that was obviously a money spinner. You know, the campsite made money that would have gone into paying the bands. So even though they've gone down to the 3 single day format, that comes with a bit of financial hit, as it were. I would surmise, obviously, I'm not part of their accountancy firm, but I don't think we'll ever see the day where Transmit will command the kind of headliners that the likes of Leeds and Reading would nowadays.
Not the sheer size, the sheer capacity that it actually has, which of course Transmit. It's not as big as T in the Park capacity-wise. I don't think I'd be interested to know the numbers, but yeah, you're throwing in these people.
Laterally, T in the Park was up to 60 or 70,000, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what Transmit is.
I think Transmit, if people can correct me, I think it's maybe 35,000, something like that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
that's about right. I would say, but
it's biggest in Scotland in terms of outdoor festivals, but it's not as big. It's not as big as T in the Park was. And as I say, it hasn't sold out for several years either. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure last time I checked, or certainly when I was going to Leeds and Reading quite a lot as well, that they're up over 100,000. So you know that really counts in terms of ticket sales when you're spending £200-300 on a weekend ticket, and there's an extra 70,000 of them being sold. My math isn't that good, but you're talking about millions extra in the bank, so that all counts as well. Not to say we've kind of excluded one headliner that I think's going to be the big sort of finale is Lewis Capaldi. I don't think anyone's going to be upset with him playing, and I think they have chosen very well to finish the weekend on him, because even if you've got misgivings throughout the weekend, I think Lewis will soothe a lot of ruffled feathers.
Yeah.
With that, I'm looking forward. It's going to be emotional, big headline, homecoming, everything. So I think he will be the big climax for Transmit this year, definitely. But just going back to what we were saying, Noah mentioned the last dinner party. English teacher as well, who are playing in the same day.
Yeah, I've not seen them live before. I would like to.
Yeah, definitely. And just sort of scanning as well. The Rooks, I know, are sort of getting there as well. I don't know if it's yourself, Glenn, who I've heard about them from. I imagine it probably will be.
They were doing a set at the BBC stage last year, and it was like the busiest set at the BBC stage that's ever seen. I think it was 2,500 people there.
Yeah,
I don't think it's supposed to hold that many people, so that kind of caused a bit of a stir around them. But they have this whole thing about last year being the independent band on the bill, which who knows how truthful that actually is, since how they played Transmit, which is a bit practically impossible. But we'll not nitpick too hard. They're doing well for themselves. They're on the King Tut stage this year. I believe they said on the Instagram, I think it was 5:30 on the King Tut stage, which seems quite late, considering you know they have like 6 songs out on Spotify, maybe. No, actually they've got more than that. I'm lying. Maybe about 8. But I do quite like them. I've ordered their debut EP on vinyl, which should be arriving at some point in the near future.
Good.
And I've actually not have seen them live until live. I've seen them live twice. Funnily enough, in the space of like 2 days, I saw them on a Friday night, and then the next night, the Saturday night as well. First night was acoustic supporting Overpass in the SWG3 Poetry Club, and then the second time was in the O2 Academy supporting Miles Kane. Much preferred them live in the O2 with that whole rock sound, which is kind of what their thing is. But like, yeah, they're cool. They're like a mix of like Stereophonics, Oasis, that type of thing. They're cool.
Awesome, yeah. Also on the Sunday, one of your favourites, Red Rum Club.
Oh yeah, Red Rum Club.
As well, I'm sure you're going to be looking forward to that. And this is, again, things I get from yourself by osmosis almost by
totally.
watching your channel and just hearing you go on about them. But it's nothing if not a good recommendation. Really, if I hear something from yourself, then I know it's going to be worth seeing.
Thank you. Yeah, Red Dawn Club will be interested to see because they just got rid of their trumpet player, and that kind of like made the band.
Yeah, that would change the dynamic quite some bit.
I'm intrigued to see if they get a new trumpet player. If he's as good and everything, because Joe the Blow, that was his name. Like that just has a ring to it. Joe the Blow, come on, that's class.
Sounds like a gangster from the 40s.
It does, yeah.
Carries a machine gun about in his trumpet case. I'm kind of we've no mentioned her, but Amy McDonald on this Sunday, I'm kind of looking forward to, because last year she was the secret set, and after I mention her, I think it'd be a fun game to try and guess who's going to be this year's secret set. But she was, we worked out it would be her playing, and to be honest, it was a lot better than anyone was expecting. You got the nostalgia from her hits and whatnot, but she's still on top form. I don't know if she's just spent the last however many years out of the spotlight practicing, but it's definitely worth seeing, and it's good to see her sort of sub-headlining in front of Lewis as well. So we're looking forward to her.
I wonder who the secret set will be, because I remember the year Travis did it, and that looked like a great set. And then obviously last year was Amy McDonald as well. I always thought the Fratellis would do something like that, but now they're on the lineup on the Saturday as well. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to rattle my brain around who it could be, and I really just can't pin anybody.
The last few days that I've been thinking about it as well, because it's usually someone Scottish. It's usually someone worth running to see. Once you get that text message for your pals who are like, oh, 2 years ago, oh, Travis, it's Travis. That was the same year, and I might be predicting something here. That was the same year everyone thought it was Franz Ferdinand, but it turned out to be Travis. And then, like I said, last year we all worked out before the event that it would be Amy McDonald, when everyone else thought it would be Lewis Capaldi, but that's just very optimistic, I think. So
Boards of Canada, that's my prediction for you.
Who's that?
Boards of Canada. They got an album coming out, you know, they're needing to give it that good old media push. I can't see any reason why they won't be going for it.
Yeah, it's I've been thinking, and I can't think of many Scottish bands who are because both Amy and Travis were on the way back up. That was their re-entry into the spotlight, and I can't think of any Scottish bands who are in that position this year.
Maybe the Proclaimers. I think the Proclaimers could maybe do something, because they've got that show. And is it Bellahouston Park? Is it?
They're on the big sort of.
They're also doing quite a big tour later this year, so it might. The reintroduction to Spotlight. Yeah, it's not a bad show actually.
Is Katie Tunstall's not on the lineup? It could be her.
Could you see Calvin Harris doing a DJ set there?
That would be chaos. Absolute chaos.
All the bands will be there.
They'll all be there anyway. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. I don't think he'll be Franz Ferdinand. I think Katie Tunstall might be a shout, or
potentially Nathan Evans.
Maybe. Yeah. He's got his own festival this year.
Heather in the Hill.
Yeah, our Jenna's going up to watch it because she's from that area. So possibly Nathan Evans.
We'll
he's
come back to this and see how he's aged well.
Yes, fucking claim money for your bookies on it. I was going to say about Nathan, I'm sure he's one of the 20 dozen people who have, in inverted commas, official Scottish anthem for the football. Which I would just like to throw out there are too many Scotland songs for the World Cup. Yeah, no one knows what one you should be listening to, and it's Worse Than Christmas. I think we should decide on one.
There's these two musicians, random amateur musicians, that turned out they had both recorded Scotland songs, and then they found out they lived next door to each other. It's a daft story illustrating the fact that, yes, I think there probably are too many. You can't even sort of go out of your house without finding somebody recording a Scotland song next to you. You know?
Yeah, it's all that seems to be on TikTok, and I know I spend too long on that app, especially with new music and new Scottish music popping up. But it seems that every third person that's ever thought about writing a song has written one about Scotland being in the World Cup, and they all know in their hearts and hearts it will never be as good as the Delamitri one. So why even try? That's another name for your secret set, Delamitri.
Well,
that would be brilliant. Yeah, so I'm throwing him in with Kate Tunstall. That's my two guesses.
I'm wondering, are they too heritagey? I mean, would someone like Glenn's era?
They probably are, but they're well liked. They're well liked.
They're worthy a main stage slot, but
I don't know who they are.
What?
Rest my case.
Right, write this down. Roll with me. They don't play it live anymore, but it's outstanding. And I'm sure I've mentioned this many times. Their keyboard player, Andy Alston, was one of my lecturers in college.
Oh, is that right?
So any time we needed to listen to a song, it would just so happen to be a Delamitri song that showcased a production technique perfectly that he was teaching us.
Oh, for goodness sake, that's interesting.
They're actually one of the first bands who I ever remember reading a review of in the Bear's Animal Guy Herald, because they were from that part. That's where I grew up, fortunately or unfortunately. I remember I must have been about 11 or 12. I remember thinking, tell me if that's an interesting name. And that would have been like their first album, which is atypical. It's not typical of the rest of the music.
Very jangly, orange juicy kind of stuff. I've got a flexi disc with the split with the bluebells, and it sounds quite postcardy.
That's the thing. I mean, that was that was seemed to be in the air in the suburbs of Glasgow in that particular era. I was too young to really be aware of it, but I think that was my first awareness of God. There are local bands who people actually review. Who are these fuckers who review albums? What's all that about? I know.
Andy Alston keeps hassling my missus to record some stuff on her harp with him. That's another story anyway. I think she's still in negotiations with him, I think.
Oh dear, yeah.
So anyway, Glenn, roll with me, check that out. And
Roll with me.
Don't Come Home Too Soon was their World Cup, Euro Cup.
Nothing Ever Happens was their first hit single. It's a kind of anthem almost, very strummy.
Yeah, it's over with Caledonia and all that. It's pure, you're not Scottish if you don't know every word and cry when it gets played.
Depressing as fuck, but anyway. Obviously, after a few whiskeys, that's what most Scottish people are like, so yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. I will say recently, completely off topic, but I think it's the first time I've derailed the podcast tonight, so I'm doing not bad.
Last time.
Exactly. I've been listening to a lot of Run Rig in preparation as I've been sorting out the playlist for my wedding.
That's not derailing your podcast at all. I mean, come on. That's on topic.
Not doing a secret set transmit, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
Yes, of course. That's who it is.
See if they do Loch Lomond, which I've been listening to over and over again, because I've sent it to the band to learn for my wedding. Cause
I was going to say that. Is this something to do with the wedding?
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned to anyone, but I've done my usual where I can't enjoy something and just let it sit at that. So I am now the manager of my wedding band.
Okay.
So I'm curating the set list to my own wedding, which is a weird.
At least with your 40%, it's going to be a lot cheaper to hire them.
I wish I commanded 40% off anything, and I'm also not getting a discount. But if anyone else wants a pop punk and emo cover band for their function, just get in touch. Podcasts at isthismusic.com, and I'm sure we can work something out. But anyway, back on topic, in terms of Transmit, there was someone else that I was wanting to bring up, and I can't even remember who it was. I always remember asking Glenn who the hell Sonny Fedora is.
I looked him up today.
Fedora. Sonny Fedora.
Is that it? I've been saying his name wrong.
You're so close, but he does not wear a hat. You're close.
He's got a hat on in this picture. Sadly, it's not a Mexican hat. It's a backward baseball cap, you'll be astonished to hear.
Yeah, but I think that says more about me than the festival that someone's the second headliner and I've never heard of them.
He's a disc jockey, apparently.
Oh, right. I know what they are. I know what disc jockeys are.
Yeah, like David Travis.
Exactly. He wouldn't be doing the secret set, will he?
No.
No, let's not even go down. We can't go down a line of dodgy DJs. I'll have to be edited out. Someone's going to mention. Anyway, no.
But I think that's me spent on this year's lineup. There's names we could just throw out there. Cammy Barnes is doing really well for himself. I'm happy with that. Keo, who Glenn can talk about for about 4 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sure if you're there on a Saturday, check out Keo, just purely on the word of Glenn. I'm going to mispronounce this, Jacob Alon.
Yeah.
Jacob Alon, yeah.
I saw them in a secret set at actually Connect 2023, I think it was, at the Tiny Changes set in very close proximity, and it was very good. It was actually quite beautiful. I think it's in my review at the time, and the album is actually doing pretty well. It's washing its face financially, I believe, and actually they are doing some pretty tasty support slots for some pretty big artists. I think Florence Machine, a couple of others, so definitely in the ascendant, and obviously DF has picked up on that. So fair
also
play.
Lewis Capaldi, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, definitely worth checking out, and obviously the Scottish Long Veer.
Yeah, looking at Sunday's lineup, I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, but there's a lot of connection to Lewis because Sky Newman supported him at the Hydro
that's right.
as well. So I don't know if he said, "Oh yeah, bring my pals over." He certainly doesn't strike me as the kind of person to make demands. Say, "I only play if these people play," but I can certainly see him saying, "Oh yeah, if you need anyone else." You know, these are some really good recommendations. And if you're going to take recommendations for anyone, I think Lewis Capaldi is the one to take recommendations from.
Yep.
Okay, Saturday, I'm going to say I'm going to assign Glenn to No, I was going to say, if you get a chance to see Big Special, let me know if they're any good. I was planning to see them recently, didn't get to the gig. They're all over Six Music. I don't know if Glenn actually knows them, or if it's just old person's music. Because it's Six Music dads, you know, it's probably for the over 50s if they're getting playlisted there. But no, that's probably one of the bands I would have checked out. Where I'm going on the Saturday would be Big Special, and probably English Teacher as well. I'd imagine you again are definitely another very much a Six Music band.
Yeah, definitely English Teacher, Fratelli's Last Dinner Party. That's a really solid middle section of the Saturday.
Also, Loyal Corner.
Yeah, and the Snuts above them. That's pretty solid, no matter how critical you want to be of the festival as well. Even though I don't know who's Sonny Federa.
We're getting there.
I'll get there. I promise I'll practice it by next month, and then you'll think.
When I see you there, and I'm like, you're going to Sonny Federa.
I don't know. I'll be there anyway. As this music will be there reviewing the entire weekend and bringing you the best in photos and gigs with Glenn. I'll call you that as if that's your name. Glenn will be there interviewing all the acts as well, and we'll have all the interviews up on the site as well. Like I've always been saying, it's easy for us old men to be critical of the lineup. I was going to call it Tea in the Park there, Transmit, saying who are these people? But I think as Glenn's shown, he's the demographic for Transmit. He's who it's aimed at now, and even though we get our little gems in there like Nile Rodgers and the Beta Band, and for losers like me, South Arcade, and the Fratellis, I think they're going to be a real dark horse of the weekend. I think they're going to get one of the best crowds of the whole weekend. It's definitely aimed at people like Glenn and his demographic as well, who actually know who half these people are. So as much as we want to complain about it, I don't think we've got that right anymore as old bastards. Which, does anyone disagree with on that?
No, don't disagree with that. No, but like, No, I mean the most interesting thing about any festival is the fact that there is stuff that you don't know. So whatever you're there to see, whatever you think you're there to see. I mean, the number of times I was distracted at Tea in the Park by something and ended up seeing something else, and that goes for pretty much any festival. Is the best thing about these things. I'm sure you guys probably covered this more in the last episode. I stopped listening to it when they're doing Dirty Sanchez. I mean, God, we leave you guys alone for like 5 minutes, and honestly, yeah,
That was a long tangent.
Oh, it was absolutely creasing myself listening to that. Anyway, but as I say, I mean, whether it is the next Dirty Sanchez or whatever, and of course, I mean, obviously, Transmit doesn't have a comedy tent, which could be interesting. I must admit, actually quite interested to see what the dance tent offering is, because having spent quite a few hours at various points in the Slam tent at Tea in the Park, being a massive fan of Slam themselves and the stuff that they do, people that I don't know how much influence they have in who else is booked, because I actually haven't checked out the entire lineup. And like you say, there's not been any splits announced or anything as yet. So I'll be interested to see what happens with that as your old raver correspondent, as it were.
Definitely. So yeah, I think that's us. All that's left to do is really to look forward to the weekend. Definitely something there for everyone. And as you were saying, Gus, even if you think there's nothing there for you, if you're there for one or two bands, you'll probably discover something you like. I've definitely proven that in the last couple of years where I've been there at Transmit. So if anyone listening wants to email in with any recommendations of who we should check out while we're there, as I said, we're going to be there in force this month. Email into podcast@isthismusic.com or leave comments on whatever platform you're listening to. And in the meantime, we'll catch you next month afterwards, where we can do a review of it. That'll be fun. So thanks again for listening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, cheers, guys. Till
Next time.